Good evening, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Friday, September 19, 2025. And in the news this evening, Sikh lawyer delays St. James murder case. Court proceedings against the 29-year-old Christopher Hunt, popularly known as Alkaline, were delayed on Wednesday after his defense attorney failed to appear and the court was informed the lawyer was unwell. On the previous mentioned date, July 23, it was confirmed that Krishana Freginet was to take on Hunt's defense. He faces multiple serious charges in connection with the June 16 fatal shooting of a security guard on Barnett Street, St. James. A resident of Cotton Lane, Mount Salem, Hunt is charged with murder, robbery with aggravation, illegal possession of a firearm, and using a firearm to commit a felony. The victim, 37-year-old Gary Hamilton of Albion Road, Montego Bay, was shot outside a business establishment. Police reports state that around 5:54 p.m., Hunt allegedly attempted to force Hamilton inside the premises. When that effort failed, he reportedly opened fire before robbing the establishment and fleeing. Hamilton was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead. An investigation, aided by CCTV footage, led to Hunt's arrest in St. Catherine the following day. He was formally charged on June 25 after reportedly confessing to police. Hunt remains in custody until his next court date, set for October 1. Anderson defends poll numbers, backs calls for probe of alleged irregularities on election day. Jamaica's leading political pollster, Don Anderson, has defended the accuracy of his latest polls in the aftermath of the September 3 general election, which was won by the Jamaica Labour Party. In a near 50-minute presentation at the weekly meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston on Tuesday, Anderson argued that he did not call the result of the election because the polling showed it could go either way. After the votes were counted, the JLP won 35 seats to the 28 secured by the People's National Party. Anderson pointed out that the PNP, despite the loss, managed to bring out 97,000 more of its supporters than in 2020, when it went down in a landslide, winning just 14 of the 63 seats in Parliament. He also noted that the JLP brought out just 5,300 more of its supporters when compared to 2020, and that the election was won by just 10,300 votes of the more than 820,000 cast, with the gap between the two parties being a mere 1.2 percentage points. It doesn't get any closer than that, Anderson remarked. The noted pollster pointed out that he had the benefit of 2 years of polling, which included 10 national and at least 50 constituency polls leading up to September 3. He said both sides were in campaign mode for 2 years, beginning 6 months prior to the February 2024 local government elections. According to Anderson, he knew the election was going to be close as he watched the 9 percentage points lead the PNP had opened on the JLP in the aftermath of the local government elections dwindle over 5 successive polls to under 1% point at the beginning of August this year. We thought that the election was going to be an extremely close election and would be won by the party that brought out its best game, human resources, and now I say controversially, financial resources on the day, said Anderson. The pollster, who founded Market Research Services Limited in 1975, echoed the call by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding for claims of irregularities made by opposition leader and the PNP President Mark Golding to be properly investigated, as he took a different view from election observers who for the most part hailed the process as efficient, fair and free. 5 shot in Portsmouth, 1 fatally. Police in the St. Catherine South Division are searching for hoodlums who fatally shot 1 man and wounded 4 others in the Portsmouth community in Portmore on Thursday night. Dead is 19-year-old Rashad Smith, of 4th Avenue, Portsmouth. The police say the 4 injured persons, ranging from 21 to 34 years old, have been hospitalized. Reports are that about 9:15 p.m., the men were standing along a Rudell Road in Portsmouth when they were pounced upon by unknown assailants. Their attackers brandished the guns and they fired, injuring the men. All 5 men were taken to hospital, where Smith has succumbed to his injuries. No motive has been established in the incident. The Portmore Criminal Investigation Branch is probing the matter. Man charged with non-delivery of motor vehicle. A man has been charged with fraudulent conversion, non-delivery of goods and services, and obtaining money by means of false pretense after failure to deliver a car to a client between December 9, 2024 and June 13, 2025. Charged is 35-year-old Nicholas Morgan of Abbeyville Avenue, Kingston 20. Reports are that a man engaged the services of Morgan to import a 2019 Mazda Demio car for $1,650,000 and for it to be delivered on Monday, December 23, 2024. The payment was made. However, the car in question was not delivered to the man, nor was he refunded. The incident was reported to the police, who then arrested Morgan. Following a question and answer session in the presence of his attorney, Morgan was formally charged. Morgan is scheduled to appear in court on Friday, September 26. Dispute between 2 brothers turns deadly in St. Elizabeth. A long-standing dispute between 2 brothers turned deadly Friday morning after one reportedly used a blunt object to inflict wounds on the other in Black River, St. Elizabeth. The deceased has been identified as Wayne Boise of Station Alley. His brother is in custody. The brothers, who were neighbors, were in an argument about 8:45 a.m. when the accused used an object to hit Mr. Boise in the head. He was taken to hospital by the police but later died. Steel worker gunned down in St. Anne. Detectives in St. Anne are probing the murder of a man in the Runaway Bay area on Wednesday night. The deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Eddie Neal Crawford, a steel worker of Standard Pipe in Runaway Bay. The police say about 11 p.m., Mr. Crawford and a friend were outside a property working on a car when they were attacked by gunmen in a white Toyota Axio, who opened the fire at them. Mr. Crawford died at the scene. His friend escaped injuries. The police were called, and Mr. Crawford was seen with bullet wounds to the back of the head. Informal operations a barrier for MSMEs to access financing. Economist Keenan Faulkner says some micro, small and medium-sized enterprises are struggling to access financing due to a lack of formalization in their operations. This follows a recent call for the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica for the financial sector to revisit its rigid lending criteria and provide greater support for entrepreneurs. Mr. Faulkner noted that lending institutions remain risk-averse, especially in the context of Jamaica's past financial crisis. He explained that businesses seen as high risk, especially those without a proper financial records, will find it particularly challenging to secure loans.
Historically, that has been the case. We tend to pay lip service to the small business sector. But, going back to the whole perception of risk and even just tying that in with business development, you realize that many businesses, their operations are not as formal as you would want them to be. Sometimes there are things in the context of business that are not reliable, financial statements and other things like that. So it's about also twinning financing with building capacity. And in so doing, then you can ensure that perception of risk decreases, and so you feel more comfortable lending to small businesses that their operations are optimal.
PSOJ President Mitri Siaga has urged entrepreneurs to become banking ready in order to improve their chances of accessing credit. Mr. Siaga emphasized that businesses must meet basic loan requirements if they expect to be funded. He encouraged the MSMEs to seek operational support from agencies like the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, MSME Alliance, and the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association.
People have got to realize that we can't, as business people, just bawl and say the government must do for us, the government must do for us, or somebody must do for us without doing for ourselves. So there is shared blame, but the time has come now to stop the blaming and start to work together to make sure that we get it done. So everybody has a role to play.
Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.